Hello everybody, Stephen Burns here. Looking forward to seeing you at the California Photo Festival on October 7th through the 11th. And I'll be teaching a series of workshops on compositing, and oftentimes the artistry of compositing has to do with understanding lighting, getting that extra depth or that three-dimensional look from your work, and that's what this tutorial is going to be about here. We're going to utilize lighting effects, and we're going to utilize our channels because the values is actually extremely important in our photographic imagery. I'm working with a two-dimensional object, obviously, where I have it in two layers. I've duplicated it, and we're going to work on a duplicate object. We're going to utilize values, black and white system of information to create our peaks and our valleys to create more depth in our image. So if I target my channels here, I'm going to take a look at the black and white information in both the red and the green as well as the blue and find out which channel is going to assist me more in what I'm trying to do. Now let's talk about this a little bit. What my intention is to bring out more of the ridges along the flower here, or the leaf in this case. It's also to bring out a little bit more of a shape in the arm, more of a rounded shape in the arm, as well as right here in the side of her body, as well as to give a little bit more of a roundness to the hips. I also like to achieve a little bit more texture. We have a nice visual texture in the leaf, and I want to add a little bit more depth to that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our channels and see which one is really going to assist us the most. This channel has too much highlights, too many whites. So this may not assist me so much because I don't have a nice separation between the ridges of the flower and some of these higher areas, or where I'm going to actually add more roundness to it. It's a little bit too bright overall. So if I target the green, this is much better. It seems like I have peaks and valleys in terms of the black and white information. The whites will be my peaks, the blacks will be the valleys. The darker values will become the valleys. However, it's still a little bit too much contrast overall. Now, let's do this. Let's target our blue. Here, we can see a very dark value system, but it's also an evenly distributed value system. I think I can work with this a little bit more. All right. So I'm looking at things in terms of black and white information. So let's utilize it. Let's duplicate this channel. We're going to use this channel for a texture. Let's see what happens if we use it now. It's called the blue copy. And let's go ahead and target our RGB composite. And with the RGB composite targeted, let's go over to our layers and let's apply our lighting effects. Filter, render. Let's go to our lighting effects panel. And of course we have some new features in here. Actually, this is new in CS6. In the infinite light, we're getting more of a three-dimensional type of a 3D lighting system here. Now if we take a look at it now, as we shift the lights over to the right or left, we're getting what we want. So if I go to the left here, it's coming straight down. That's what this is telling us. From the top left, we're getting a nice little highlight on the edge of our leaf. However, we're getting too much texture everywhere else. Okay, and that is not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in having only certain areas to be of higher peaks. Other areas are a lot more controlled. So this is not what I'm looking for. So we're going to modify that system of values. Let's go back to our channels, target the blue copy. Let's modify it. Let's smooth out these values. Let's give them a much subtler transition from one value to the next, from the blacks to the whites. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur there. I'll give it a little bit more of a blur, soften it up a little bit. See what's happening here? Much more of a nicer transition of values. Let's control it even more. Let's go here and click OK. And let's target our dodge tool. I'm going to dodge the midtones. Why? Because that's mostly what we're dealing with here is midtones. The brighter areas are not whites. They're just higher forms of medium gray. If I bring it a little bit closer, let's modify this medium gray with my brush. I'm using 100% exposure. As I already mentioned, midtones are selected. I'm using a Wacom pen, actually a Wacom Cintiq 22-inch touch. And as I touch on the monitor, I can actually start to bring up these areas that I don't want to be dark. So I don't want a real blotchy look on the shoulder. I want a nice little smooth transition of the values. Maybe add a little bit more highlights here, but you know, make a nice little transition And I'm going to go to the side here, add a little bit more of a circular transition here. And let's go to the side of her shoulder blade, add a little bit of a mound here. So I'm thinking in black and white. I want to shape her body here. Bring the hips, round them out a little bit more. And I'm going to add a little bit more roundness here. Now the areas that I want to come forward a little bit more, I'll add a little bit more brightness to it. Okay? And I'm going to also do the same thing right here. Just brighten up these areas, add a little roundness to it, and modify it. Bring this on in. That's nice. Now come on over. I don't want a lot of brightness on the edge of this leaf, neither right back here on the edge of this leaf. So what we're going to do is we're going to burn tool. I'll bring the exposure to 100% again. We're going to burn down the midtones, which means darken them down. Okay, I'm going to just take it down, take this down as well. And constantly thinking about this system of black and whites. I don't want a lot of mounds in here. I might want to add more valleys in here to keep that nice little contrast going. So we get brights and highlights working off of one another. And I'm just painting this on in here. I might want to add a little bit more of a valley right down in here, a little bit more in here, a little bit, and just start to shape this leaf just a little bit, exactly the way we want it. There we go. Bring this on down, and I'm creating there. I'm going to go ahead and take this on back. So I'm creating this almost this abstract form of light and shadow, which is really kind of the basics of drawing. You always establish the highlights first, not the highlights, but you establish the value system first, the black and white information to establish depth, and then we bring our color on top. All right, now if you want to, we can hit the B key and go to the brush, and we can sample by holding the Alt key and sample these colors, and then smooth it out a little bit. Start to put them down, start to smooth it out. Okay, now I'm controlling my peaks a little bit better. Now once I have a nice little control over this, I'm going to do the same thing for the shoulder. Go ahead and target the highlights here and start to add paint where I want it, starting to recreate my system of values here. Come on back. I'm going to do the same thing here and start to shift it. See, it's a nice smoother transition because what the dodge tool was doing was it was establishing more texture that was already there. So the paint's going to paint right on top of it. So always thinking in terms of black and white, even when you're shooting, is really going to assist you quite a bit. Now I'm going to bring the brush a little bit smaller, decide that I'm going to want pure white here. So I'm going to hit the X key, go to pure white, and let's add a little bit more of a stronger highlight coming right across the top, keeping it soft. And I'm going to add it right to her shoulder, keeping it nice, broad and soft here. Nice. Do the same thing to the hips. Nice, subtle, soft transition. The same thing here. All right, so bring it on out. Now I'm going to go over here to my, hit the D key for black and white and switch it to foreground to black, and I can go ahead and start shaping her hips here. Okay, see what's happening? I'm starting to establish this system. Go ahead and add a little black in here. I want this to be affected a little bit less. So we're creating almost a very graphic highlight and shadow system or visual as to how light is falling on this subject. All right, down over in here, I want a little bit more of a valley. Sculpt it out. Okay. Very gentle, very soft. All right. I don't want it really to affect down over in here. So I'm going to enlarge my brush and start to paint all of this in here. I don't want it to affect the bottom section. All right, there we are. Looking good. Let's go ahead and test this out. Target the RGB composite, go to our layers. Right at the very top layer is what we're going to affect. Filter, render, lighting effects. Let's see what, nice. That's what I'm looking for. See, we're getting a stronger light and shadow, giving us much more of a two-dimensional feel. Look at the arms, look at the hips. It's a lot better than it was before. And if we look right down here, actually I'm going to pull this on over the light, go to more of almost a 45-degree angle, a little bit more of a sharper angle here, and target OK. Now, before and after, before and after. And if we don't like what's happening, say in these areas I was a little bit too aggressive, apply a layer mask. Paint with black to the areas you want to just gently paint out. Maybe we just want a little bit of it there. Okay, so there we are. Maybe we want to bring back a little bit more of the arm here, or the peaks, more of those, what it was originally. Just gently pull it out. So you can control all this, okay? Nice. So bring back more of the roundness of the hips right over in here. Let's take it back, take a look at it. Nicely done. All right. Check out my website, chromeillusion.com. We have the California Photo Festival link right on the front page. Definitely also take a look at the interview I have on the front page. You'll find it very interesting. If you target the California Photo Festival, you will actually go to the page where you'll see the workshops that I'm teaching, quite a number of them here, and top 10 things you should know about Photoshop, shoot to composite, Lightroom versus Photoshop, shoot to composite utilizing textures. We have a variety of photo shoots I'll be involved with, and shoot to composite artistic elements where we start bringing it all together. Then we will have a special class called Review, Discuss, and Enhance, where the students, I will choose imagery from the students, and I will enhance it for them right before their eyes, explain why I'm doing what we're doing, and showing you both, intermediate and advanced techniques for really enhancing your work. Okay. So I look forward to seeing you, and also make sure, let's go ahead and go back to the actual website here. Make sure you come and take a look at my artwork. Get a feel for who I am there. All right, so all of this is utilizing Photoshop, photography, digital painting, sometimes 3D. Browse through and check out my website. Okay. All right, so I look forward to seeing everybody. This is Stephen Burns, and enjoy.